This conference will now be recorded.
Oh,
Okay.
and Denise Saraceno. Hi,
Hi there,
Denise.
sorry I'm late.
All good.
Oh, good. I'm Don Kimes. I'm going to be calling the meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. on January the 27th, 2021. I am in the Village Hall, and I will read this disclaimer. According to Governor Pritzker, executive order, remote meetings are still allowed, and as required, a village official is present in the Village Hall, which I am, and I am in the Village Hall. Okay, I guess we need to take a roll call, correct? Starting out with Nick.
Hello, everyone. Nick Half.
Nick Half. Let's go Sally Bennett. Here. Okay.
Oh.
We have Denise here. Mary Gaziano.
I am here.
Michael Buchanan.
Mike McKinnon is present.
Okay.
And Stephanie King.
Stephanie King.
And I do have that done. I've got some notes here if you want me to take notes. I do have reflected who is present as a guest, which would be basically everyone other than you and Trustee McKinnon. And we do need to call the name of Lori Morgan. And since there's no response, at least at this point, she would be considered absent. And we do have a quorum, so I think we're ready then for you to proceed. And I will let you know if Lori texts me back.
Thank you so very much. So you'll be taking some minutes for us.
I will.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's called to order. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Hearing none, we will proceed. Public comments. We have no comments that are actually listed here, but I will mention that I have gotten several calls about the flags over Winnebago. I understand as of the last time I was talked to, they had about $1,200, and according to Officer Happ, they have reached their goal.
It's what I was under the impression of. Stephanie, do you have an idea on that?
They have reached and surpassed.
Perfect.
Oh,
Do you know what
That's-
the goal was?
I
Goal
believe
amount?
it was initially $1,200 and then it was upped. I'm not certain on that number.
Okay.
okay, good. Code enforcement report. You'll see that there is not one. I talked to Casper this morning. He has been driving around Winnebago, but he has noted nothing, so he had nothing to report. The solar ordinance update. Mary, there's a couple.
Yeah, what I could.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
We had a commercial call by a contractor for a commercial permit for solar. That would be for the new community church down here. They're going to want to be installing solar panels. So according to that, we'll need to have an update on this solar. And also, what about putting something in the UDO? Do we have to have a motion to have that done, which has to be done at a regular meeting, correct?
Yeah, what I can tell you is, and I'll back up and I'll cover all of those, but first as to the current draft solar ordinance that we have, that one is only for residential. That had been distributed to the board members as well as to Paul Happick and their village building official and all of that. The last thing that I was charged with was following up with the electrical inspector, Paul Happick, because this was at his urging to have the solar ordinance, to see if he had any further commentary. I did talk to him. We've been playing phone tag, but I did talk to him today. And his only concern about something to be added to the draft solar ordinance, and again, the one we have is currently for residential, is to have a provision that requires someone who is licensed. This is going to sound vague, but I'll explain why in a minute. someone who is licensed present at the site when the installation is taking place. And he said his problem is that he's seen over time that they'll just get somebody to install it, and then people don't realize what all the various rules and regulations were. The reason I'm vague right now as to the specifics of the certification and where the certification is from is that Paul couldn't remember what organization it is, but it's some, I believe, national entity where they get their certification from. So he was going to email me language to add to the solar ordinance, proposed solar ordinance, with my telling him that we have a board meeting coming up on February 8th. So it's anticipated that, we would want it so I could have it to the board for the board packet this upcoming week. So he was going to be working on that. And so that's as to the one you've already seen. Now, when we had done that, there hadn't been the concern of Paul Hapik wasn't about, at that point, at least, the commercial, but now there's commercial interest. And I think there's been commercial interest from someone else. So I'm working on a commercial solar ordinance, just so you know. And as far as where it goes, we talked about that the solar ordinance would be a revision to the zoning ordinance. So that's the way that we're doing it. And as far as being under the Unified Development Ordinance, once we have it, I mean, we could put language in there, but it's not like a solar ordinance is a requirement. It's just if they decide or solar panels, if they decide they want solar panels, we can put a provision in there, how it's going to be governed. But of course, we got to have our ordinance first. So
Yes.
that's where we are on those. And I can tell you that I just also, a little bit unrelated, but having to do with Trustee Morgan, she just texted me to say, I just got out of work. I will get on, give me 5 minutes. And
Okay.
that came while I was speaking. So just so you know.
Okay, thank you very much. We got an update through, yeah, Mike?
Before we leave this topic, at this point, we've got to get information regarding the commercial. Likewise, Kelly had sent me a message earlier that through conversation with, Mr. Medeiros and so forth, we do not currently have a fee established for a commercial solar installation. So we're going to have to find out from the inspectors, what is going to be required of their time as far as, is there a building inspection required? Is it all electrical? I mean, they're going to have to tell us what is going to be required of their time so we can then determine what the fee should be.
Good point.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what so just like we kind of did on all the other residential fees, is we started with the requirements of what our costs are to remunerate the inspectors. And so, we're going to have to get the requirements of what's going to be done and, how many visits by, which individuals is going to be required. So that way there we can determine what fee schedule is.
Well,
Hi,
since
this
I
is
have to have
Lori.
communication with Paul, I can send an email to him. I'll copy everybody, but basically to him, I guess, and to the electrical inspector, there wouldn't be any plumbing involved, just to see I mean, I know Paul's familiar with what normally is involved.
Make sure, Mary, if you do send it to Paul, make sure, if you, in addition to contact or copying us, copy Mr. Medeiros, so that way, we're going to have to get all the inputs in there as far as what the requirements are going to be, so we can figure out what the inspection fees will be.
Right, yeah, I guess I think my thing said I was having trouble, so I might have cut out. I thought I had said I would be sending it to basically Paul and the building official.
Yeah.
I didn't think we needed the plumbing inspector because we don't have any plumbing involved.
Correct.
Okay.
And you might as well, just to keep him in the loop in case we got to gain any input from him relative to his knowledge, as we might as well get Casper on there too. I mean,
Okay.
Any knowledge that he may have from other municipalities he's dealing with, we might as well tap into his knowledge base if he's got something there to offer.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea, sure.
And I see we have a new caller. Is that Lori Morgan?
Yes, it is. I just got out of work though, and I'm not in a position to take notes. So I just want to make that known. If someone else could take some notes, that would be great.
I am doing that, Lori. That's no problem.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Those are very good ideas. Mary, you gonna follow up on that?
Yes, and then I'll copy all of you as well, so
Okay,
you know what's
fine.
going on with it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Anything else, Mike?
Nothing that I have to add at this point.
Okay, all right. Number 6 on the agenda is Elida Main business signs. I have heard that the sign has really they've been selling quite a few of them. I don't have any numbers as to how much they're being signed, but I have also been asked to understand or undertake the signing and taking the liability of the sign and also provide lighting for the sign. For that. That was not the purpose of it when we first put it up. We let them use the sign. I'm talking about the business people of the village of Winnebago to put their name on a sign and pay for it from Veal Sign Company and so forth. I don't believe that it is our responsibility as a village and paying taxpayers to take the requirement of putting on the upkeep or anything else of the sign. And the lighting is as far as I am concerned personally, if they would like lighting on it, they can explore the opportunity of putting some solar light on it. I don't feel as though it is taxpayers' responsibility to provide an advertising agenda for somebody else. If we do it for them, what about the people at the corner? We're providing them with the pole to put it on. If they want to do whatever they want to with the pole, but that is my personal opinion. Mike, your input?
I don't believe it's a village responsibility. I think if that's something that they're interested in, we can work with them. We probably will have to get some sort of I don't know if it would be considered an intergovernmental agreement, because I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce is considered a governmental entity, but we're going to have some sort of an agreement that spells out roles, responsibilities, liabilities, and so forth. Because, if we're offering them the use of village property, I think everything's got to be clearly stipulated, or if we're not interested in offering village property, then it really doesn't have much to do with us.
Can I speak on that as far as on behalf of the chamber?
Certainly.
So the chamber is not interested in ownership of the post or ownership of the signs. Like you had said, the village had set that up to where the downtown businesses could contact Bob Veal and get a sign put on, and it would be between him and the business. And so the chamber really has no responsibility in that, other than we constantly get contacted by the new businesses, downtown to find out how they go about getting that sign. So we've been passing on that information. And then it was brought up, I think the Scoop maybe had suggested or requested how to get a light on that sign. And the chamber, we had a meeting this morning, and we were wondering if the village would be up for maybe splitting the cost, or some type of situation to where a solar light or an electric light could be mounted on that, and then take care of it that way.
The cost
I think you're
of
going
any,
to run, Go ahead, Don, sorry.
The cost of anything, as far as taxpayers are concerned, we would not be interested in as far as splitting any costs, because therefore, if we split the cost, we would be taking over responsibility for that particular sign. Now, it sits on village property, and we do not want to take any responsibility. Because if we went ahead and put lights on that sign, then the rest of the businesses up at the corner, they could respect it. They're going to buy the sign, and they're going to expect that we pay for half of it. I have a business. It's not in Winnebago. It's in Davis. Now, would I ask the people, I'd buy the sign. Would I ask the village of Davis to pay for any type of lighting or any type of, that's a business expense used for the purposes of advertising your business. It has nothing to do with the taxpayers of Winnebago. And I don't care just exactly how much you want to divide it. But Denise, you have to see my point. I
do see your point. And, and that, again, it is the village's post. It is, and the chamber does not want the responsibility of, if that post falls down and lands on a police car, that we don't want that liability, that responsibility either. So it is village property. It is the village post, and the businesses pay for the placards that are on there, which has been, from day one, the situation. So then I guess I have a question as far as the sign on 20. The Scoop has a sign on there going, as you're entering or coming to the lights on 20. And from what I understand, the village registered for and had the sign mounts installed, but the Scoop then had to pay for their signs. So is that true, that the village paid for those to be installed?
When I was on the board years ago, that sign out there on Route 20 became a hazard because of the deterioration of that particular sign. That sign listed every business in Winnebago. That was removed, and as far as I know, that there was no, it was ended. There was no contingency on that or anything else like that. There was a sign out there. I will admit that. I saw it for years, but that's been off. That sign's been down for how many years, Mary? How long is that sign that we had?
I think what she's talking about, though, Don, is that there is a sign for the Scoop. I remember the discussion of that at a village meeting about that sign on 20. And I would ask Sally Bennett, who I know is here as the treasurer, if she has any information. I honestly, personally don't recall that the village paid anything. The village might have had to sign something. Again, not a responsibility sort of signing. I somehow remember the village's involvement. I'd have to go back to the minutes, but I would ask Sally Bennett if she's got anything she can enlighten us with. Sally, we're not hearing you.
Sally, we don't hear you.
Her mic's on, but we don't hear her. Yeah, we can't. She's looking.
Mhm.
Oops.
Yeah, she's probably maybe trying to come back in.
But I appreciate your comment, Don, but if the village has paid, and I guess we'll just find that information, if the village has paid for that signage to be installed using taxpayer money, then I don't see what the difference, and the only attraction that's on there is the Scoop right now. Not very many businesses in Winnebago can, or entities can take advantage of that signage or that location, or to put a placard on there. So I guess that's my plea to you as well.
I have no input with that, Denise. We'd have to go in and see just exactly what it is and who was responsible, because I've been on community development now almost 6 years, and I don't remember any of the sign coming through with that. Expect with the Scoops name on it or a design. There was some things about signage, but that was as far as sign or size or something like that. But I don't remember anything about a lighted sign down on Route 20. Okay. Nellie, are you on voice?
She's trying. She's asking if we can hear her, and I'm telling her no.
No.
And
Now,
then just, well,
Kelly, possibly you could dial in the telephone number in lieu of your speaker, the 877-309-2073 number, and maybe that'll get your voice in.
She's probably gonna call in now. Sally. Yeah, Sally disconnected, but she'll probably call in.
Okay.
Technology, gotta love it, right?
yeah, when it works.
Overall, it's been pretty good, but it's obviously not foolproof.
Right.
Mary, and some of the stuff that you have as far as stored minutes and everything, do you have the
Yes.
ability to go into a search and I mean, I vaguely remember some of the conversation at a village meeting some number of months ago, and I know there's a state guidelines of whether those can be put up and how they're put up and all that stuff. I remember vaguely discussing it. I just don't remember the details.
Yeah, that is something that I can go into. It's in a different, system that I'm in right now, but I could. That's why, but it wasn't that long ago. We discussed this,
It's been in the last
not
6
that
months.
long ago. Right, but as I recall, it wasn't the village spending any money, because of course that would come through the village board. I just don't remember.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
What was the issue?
I remembered that my browser has a lock
Now
on
she's
the
frozen,
microphone.
but-
I have not seen anything specific to spending for signs for the Scoop. If it was something like bolts or, hardware, that could have just been part of another order that I didn't know was specifically for that. But I think you would have to ask Public Works to know for sure.
and Denise, I can look up, this is Mary Gaziano. I can look up and I'll let everybody know and I'll include you. I just remember there was some discussion about that sign and there was some paperwork that had to be submitted to the state. And I just vaguely remember that something about the village having, I don't know if they had to agree to something, but I don't recall any expenditure of funds.
Okay, and that very well could be, I just saw a little blurb in one of the meeting minutes that the village, that sign, that Todd's sign had been erected, but it sounded like it had to be like a request from the village or something. And then it did say that the businesses would have to apply and pay for their signs, which is what we have downtown as well. But yeah, we're just. It was the November 9th meeting minutes under new business that I saw it.
Because I'm even kind of remembering, I thought there might have been something, and maybe I'm dreaming, but in the board packet that referenced that particular issue and maybe that application.
Well, if that was November, let me quickly see if I can get to my November.
You know, we're just trying to help out and the downtown businesses and wherever we can. And, like I said, the chamber isn't interested in taking over property or equipment or anything. That's not what we do. We just want to assist the businesses where we can. And, like I said, they usually contact us trying to find out how they get their sign on the post, and somebody came up with, a request for lighting. So we're just appealing to the village to, what are the options if it's something Public Works could install, or, split the cost or something. And it was brought up at WIPSI also. So,
well, I think we're all in agreement. We all want to support the businesses. It's just sometimes we've got a set of handcuffs on that we just have things that we're able to do and things that we're not necessarily able to do. But we'll probably have to offline figure out what that exact discussion was and who was involved. And
right. And if the village had to pay for, part of that Todd sign, then I guess I would just, request a little assistance for this one as well. But
We'll
thank
check
you.
it out. We'll let you know.
Okay, appreciate it.
Good. Anything else about the business sign? I've got an update on the flags over Big O. The goal was $1,500. Currently, they have $1,695 in their GoFundMe fund. So isn't that wonderful? Last time I heard, their Village of Winnebago had 178 flags, of which 140 of them were damaged. So I'm glad that the GoFundMe page worked on that. That is a good asset for the Village of Winnebago. Okay. Anything else about the business sign? Mike, anything else?
no,
Okay, we're going to go to number 7, the 4th of July. 4th of July. Okay. Last year, we had to cancel everything as far as the parade. We had to cancel 4th of July, all the activities because of the COVID. I get every Thursday a list of what is allowed and what isn't allowed. And last year, a lovely letter went out. It's from the Village of Winnebago. And I'm not going to read you this letter, but it does tell about the 4th of July, the parade and fireworks and so forth that we're looking for. And it gives different levels of the sponsorship, from platinum all the way down to Friends of the 4th of July. I don't know, and I haven't been given an update of how much money is actually in the 4th of July July fund. We have, as a village, we have not committed, but we have talked about putting some money in the budget, in other words, to help out with the fireworks. There are several criteria that could be done, and it depends upon the governor and his different types of, and where the COVID virus is, and so forth. We could have the fireworks. We could have them from, you had to be in your car only. The cars had to be 6-8 feet apart, and we could have the fireworks display. Therefore, nobody outside, but we could have fireworks. There's a lot of criterias that we could put into place. What's some of the other people's ideas as to what we could do for both the parade and the 4th of July? Mike?
I can't see a black box. I mean, until we have, to me, if we still have the social distancing requirements that we can't People will be sitting next to each other, this, that, and the other. I don't see how you'd have a parade or 4th of July fireworks. You know, I would certainly hope we can have them, but I don't know that we've got enough information right now to know what latitude we're going to be able to have. I would still like to try to the best of our ability to plan for what we might be able to, but we're going to have to figure out some sort of a drop dead date that if we don't have green light, then I don't know how you continue to move forward.
The reason why
Yeah, doesn't that contract for the fireworks have to be signed by like March 1st, I think?
They actually moved it up to April 1st for us.
yeah, that's the reason.
Good. Okay.
For us, it would be April 1st. So we have a time limit here as to what are we going to be sitting and monitoring a curve to see just exactly where and if it is be possible that we might be able to have the fireworks with certain restrictions. But you know, the parade, if it's still in the 6 foot, that would be almost impossible to police that as far as the I've got one organization that I belong to that was having a big over the 4th of July and over that weekend. It's everybody knows I've got automobiles, and it's from the Lincoln and Continental Club of America. They were going to have a big hoorah starting in the 21st of June and so forth like that. They have not canceled it, but they have proposed that they postpone it until a later date. Should we take that type of attitude or that type of knowledge, knowing that we don't have to really make a decision as far as Melrose is concerned until April 1st of this year? And then we will have to make a decision by April 1st. And, you know, I'm going to lean on the 4th of July committee to look into and see just exactly. And if I get anything later on within the next month or so, as every Thursday, I get a printout from the governor's office or of just exactly what the restrictions are going to be. How do you want to progress with this? I don't really know. You know.
So our biggest question from the committee was, first and foremost, if the board was supportive of us continuing planning for 2021. And again, what that would look like with the current mitigation and the fact that it seems to be ever changing. So just some, you know, that's what we were seeking mostly, was some guidance in terms of, do we start making plans to have these fireworks and the parade and just kind of watch and see how it goes? And then if we do decide to push forward fireworks, what is expected of the committee in terms of fundraising and what dollar amount to make that happen?
Okay, as of right now, the 4th of July has got $3,401.33 in their kitty for the 4th of July, which is a goodly amount. You know, it's like trying to guess the future. I have no idea what's going to happen. You know, do you think it's nice to be able to tell everybody that they have to shut down the 4th of July and the parade and everything else like that? It wasn't a fun decision that I had to make, but of course I didn't make it alone. I had the governor of the state of Illinois telling me what we could do. So it's the idea, when do we start? When do we start? And do we want to be in a positive mood that we're going to have something on the 4th of July here in Winnebago? And I think that's the way we're going to go.
Well, I think what Stephanie's asking though is, and I know that we haven't totally finalized the budget, but you know, they need to be out soliciting, you know, tentative sponsors or support, and we need to give them a dollar amount, because if we need X number of dollars from them, and we come upon the decision on April 1st on whether to sign an agreement with, the fireworks or not, if there's no indication that we're moving towards the amount of funds that we need from outside sources, well, that's going to factor into, the decision whether to sign that agreement, whether or not we know the full situation of where the COVID restrictions are going to be. So I know, in the budget, which hasn't been approved, we were, kind of, identifying what might be available from the village. And, obviously we'd love to be able to get 100% support. We know that's probably not very realistic, but I don't know that we have arrived at that final number.
Right, right.
And
Sally,
I,
can
I think you, sorry. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, Sally, have you got any input on this?
As to what I think they should raise.
Well, yeah, what do you think is necessary? That could be a budget constraint, or where's a cutoff spot for us, I guess?
The way that we structured the budget was hoping for at least a $5,000 donation amount. Just because we really didn't know, it was just sort of a baseline for putting together the budget. Obviously, we would not want to limit it to that, but that would be enough to fulfill what we have in the budget currently.
Sally, are you talking about 5,000 new money
Right.
in addition to what's in the balance? Okay.
Yes.
The other thing that I was going to say is because of the still unusual nature of the year, I mean, of course, the board would have to discuss this, but it may get down to the board, if the board decided, okay, we're going to go ahead, here's plan A and here's plan B. Meaning if we commit to the fireworks, then we got to have them because otherwise we're paying for them. But then to
Right.
me, there would have to be a plan A of it's, stay in your car 6 feet apart, that sort of thing. Or if there were restrictions lifted, that there could be something else because the fireworks are going to be the same fireworks, of course. They don't care how the people are seated or whatever. But I just think there's going to come a point where you have to decide, well, are you going to do it or are you not? In the sense that the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be for the committee to raise money,
Exactly.
I would think.
I was wondering if there could be a plan B that meant if we weren't able to do it on the 4th of July, could the plan B be to have it on Labor Day? It's just a thought of stretching it out, but still having a holiday and good weather. So I don't know if that has any meaning for anyone, but I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Well, it probably does have some merit because when we were discussing this last year, that was one of the things they were discussing is if we didn't have it, we couldn't get our money back, but we could do it at a future date. So your suggestion is probably something that needs to be factored in there.
Yes.
And something else to think about, if we were to switch it to say another holiday like Labor Day, I would imagine that the cost would probably be about the same as if we were having it on the 4th of July itself rather than the 3rd of July or the 5th of July. So that would be something else to kind of factor in as well.
Yeah. There are quite a few options that are going to be available to us. Since none of us can discuss what's going to happen in the future, we must be able to make some sort of a decision as far as our April 1st decision as with Melrose. So we have between now and April 1st to go into the fundraising of money with the idea that we have a plan A or a plan B or whatever we want to do. But once we commit to that particular fireworks, we're committed to pay for that. And if for some unknown reason, we are not able to do that, Mike said that we'd have to pay for it. I really don't want to do that. Lori, what's your thought on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to have the committee, you know, try to fundraise and get commitments. I don't, I guess my thoughts are, I think there are ways we can still have the fireworks and maintain the social distancing. If you're waiting for Pritzker to list all of the restrictions before we have the fireworks, then it's not going to happen this year. There's just not the vaccine availability. We won't have reached herd immunity. We're not going to be back to quote unquote normal, I don't think, in 2021. I would be all for, though, I don't think we can do a parade, but I would be all for still doing fireworks, you know, and you know, not allowing people to gather, you know, maybe on the fields and things like they used to, you know, maybe just make sure they're in their cars. I would be totally for that. And I think that we should promote that, especially now with people having been so separated for so long. I think I would like to see us go ahead with it, but I just don't know that we can make that decision today. So I think the committee should go all ahead full, trying to get commitments with the intent that we would try to have the fireworks on the 4th as planned.
But if we're using the fireworks with, you know, watching from cars only or whatever as a possible alternative, there's still going to have to be some evaluation done on that, trying to figure out, you know, just how much viewability are we really going to be able to capture. And, you know, there'll probably have to be some discussions with the school district, because it's like, okay, if it's viewing only from, you know, cars, I mean, they've got the majority of the property, you know, a little bit with the park district, but mostly the school. You know, where can you see them from? Are they going to allow cars to, you know, park in some of those fields and so forth? So, you know, if that's one of the contingency plans or whatever, there's still a lot of work that's got to be done to see if that's viable.
In the past, people have parked up and down McNair and even on Faulkner. So, you know, I don't know. I think that still would be a good idea to allow, you know, people to watch from their cars. And
well, I don't disagree with that, but when they've done that, there's still been probably a greater majority that were watching in other ways. So if all of a sudden, you know, that's the only option on parking some of those roads, and now you've got half of the people that formerly watched them from the bleachers or from the field that don't have that, you know, what kind of traffic situation are we going to end up with?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Got to make sure that we still have enough path for the fire engine to get through in case there's some kind of an emergency or something like that. And honestly, even just thinking of telling people that they can only sit in their car and they can't, you know, congregate with, say, their own family in a small portion of the park, I don't have enough cops to make that happen.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, I mean, so and we're not trying to be the, you know, the negative, but, you know, the realistic thing is I struggle in my own mind to see how to have a fireworks display if we can't, you know, be sitting in, you know, chairs and blankets and everything else. So cars only, I think, is pretty limited.
I have as well, Mike, because you know, in years past, a large portion of our fundraising efforts are through those crowds that are sitting there, you know, to observe the fireworks. And if we take that element away, you know, aside from the whole traffic situation, I don't know how we would be able to make that work.
Yeah, I share your concern. You know, and the other thing is obviously, you know, in absence of a parade, that was also one of the primary drivers that we were able to, you know, in addition to scouring the crowd at the fireworks, you know, we walked up and down the parade lines or whatever, soliciting a lot of those donations. So, you know, in absence of those two situations, you know, yes, you still may have some degree of success on, you know, business, you know, donations or whatever, but as far as, you know, tapping the individual, it's going to be a little bit harder, and you know, yeah, I hate to even think about the, you know, the GoFundMe. Obviously, it's worked on the flags and everything, but you know, giving up, you know, a fairly, you know, decent portion of that to costs and overhead and everything else, it's not the greatest option.
Can I ask what the $40,000 budget breakdown was? I'm guessing that 20,000 of that is for the fireworks, but what's the other 20,000 slided for?
Well, first
You're
of all,
talking about for the community development, is that correct? Is that what you're talking about?
Right. I thought I read in the minutes that that they were talking about budgeting 40,000 for the 4th of July festival and fireworks. So
I don't
I
remember
just,
the number being that high.
no, that was a couple of years ago, where that
okay.
we had that fiasco, where we lost a tremendous amount of money.
Was it the one downtown or was it?
That was the one downtown, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
lost a lot of money on that one. That's the reason
Denise, were you
why.
looking at something more recent?
That's what I thought, but you know, maybe I pulled up a previous
It was-
minutes.
It was discussed at, and I remember this because I wasn't at that board meeting and I questioned it. It was discussed at one of the board meetings, but it was incorrect in the minutes. We never actually voted to do that. There was just some discussion about it, but we didn't actually end up budgeting that. We only budgeted, I think, the 15, Sally, if I remember correctly, towards the fireworks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think those minutes were corrected, but I'll make a note of it and just make sure the corrected minutes were put on the website.
Yeah, it says it's the December 14th, 2020 minutes, and it says a motion was made by Mrs. O'Rourke, seconded by Mr. Graham to correct E.2 of the November 9th minutes. As it read, it was discussed to budget 40,000 for a complete 4th of July festival fireworks. Motion was carried. It just doesn't say what it was supposed to be corrected to. So it looked like it was still going to be 40,000. So if you can let us know what the budget is too for the
budget is 20,500 in
Okay.
expenses. Because the fireworks cost $20,000 to have them on the 4th of July, and the 500 was for incidentals.
Okay, so it looks like it's the same as what was budgeted for last year then. Okay,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that I had that right.
So the direction, I guess, that I would like to see done is to see where we are going to be at in the middle of March so that we can come back at the end of March and make a decision as to whether or not we will be able to continue on. I'm going to ask that Nick here put together a plan as far as what we can do as far as parking of the cars or anything else like that, or how we can have the 4th of July fireworks in a safe and proper admission. I agree with you totally, Lori, that I don't think the vaccinations are going to be to a point where that everybody is going to be a safe human being without the masks and so forth like that. But I guess we're going to have to do the best that we can, because I don't care what we discuss or how we discuss it. I don't think until we have further information, we can make a good and proper decision as to what we're going to do. I would hate to have to come forward and say again, I'm sorry, Winnebago, we can't have the fireworks or the parade or anything else like that due to the fact that we're in a pandemic. So it's just one of the things. I like parades. And I like 4th of July, I like fireworks. So it's not a personal preference for me. It's something that I feel as though that we have to look at the safety for everybody. I've got too many friends that have passed away from the COVID virus, and it's not funny. It's a viral bacteria, and it's a devastating way to pass away. I'll put it to you that way. Okay, I guess we kill that. Yeah.
Don, if I could, I'd ask Stephanie
Sure.
and Denise, if, I guess, if it were that, we're waiting until closer to that April date to see how things go and to make the decision on the fireworks, do you envision that having a goal amount of 5,000 or more would be doable for the fundraising that would need to be done between then and the 4th of July? Or would you be envisioning going out now and asking businesses when we're not sure that we could have that?
Me personally, I don't know how comfortable I am going forward and asking again for money, not knowing. Given the current financial climate right now, getting donations in and of itself is going to be a task. So I don't know if we would go out now or wait until we have some sort of decision. Denise, what are your thoughts?
I totally agree with you, because I think if people knew that it was going to happen, they'd be more willing to contribute than us saying, well, this might happen. So yeah, the comfort level is definitely better knowing that it'll happen.
Well, you got many of the
And that
businesses.
having been said, would you envision that starting April 1, that it would be possible to get that goal of 5,000 or more that Sally Bennett talked about? Understanding you don't have a crystal ball.
If we have a guarantee that the fireworks are going to happen, I think that we can raise a good amount of money. I can't see the 5,000 again, given the unknown of everything right now. But we can sure try.
Yeah, hopefully by then, the businesses that have been kind of very limited, obviously, when you look at what is available in the community, many of them are food service related, and obviously they've had a tough road to go. They, hoping to stay in business, let alone being able to know whether or not they can offer up any donations. So
right.
I would tend to agree with you. If, might have to work harder once the time comes, but, we may see a whole lot more visibility on whether there's any possibility or not, 30 days from now.
Right. And Culver's has started hosting their share nights again, so we could certainly kick it off, with partnering with them for a share night. Right now, it's just the online orders, and they're not allowing displays inside or, donation buckets inside, even though they have indoor dining going on right now. But at least it'll be a start.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have a goal to make. Let's hope that we can make that goal and we can have at least something. First of all, I think we should go for the fireworks, and then we can work on, if everything goes well, then we'd work on the parade. Input from the committee. Lori, what do you think? Fireworks first and then the parade?
Yeah, like you said, I don't see the parade happening this year. I mean, it would be nice if it could, but yeah, I think we should just focus on the fireworks for now, and then, like we said, when it gets closer to that April 1st deadline, we can make a final decision.
Okay. Mike?
I would agree with the comments Lori made.
Okay. Do we need to have a vote to see whether it would go forward and we'd bring it to the board, that's what we want to do?
If you wanted to bring it before the board and you don't want to have a second to your motion, then you would bring it as a motion from this committee do you want to vote on whether or not to make a recommendation to the village board to decide, as of April 1, whether or not to proceed with the fireworks. And if you ever are positive that you want to tell them that you'd like to proceed with the fireworks as of April 1, assuming that the climate is such health-wise that we'd be able to do that, then if you voted on that in an affirmative matter, then when it would be brought to the board would still vote on it, but you wouldn't have to have a second.
Okay, fine. That's what I think I'll do. I'll bring it to the board and that for the second, or bring it for information to the board, okay?
Okay.
All right with you, Mike?
Like I said, we're really not, I mean, we're basically deferring a decision, so there's really no action we're taking other than, update the board that, we're gonna give it another 30 days. By that time, we will have assume we'll be voting on the budget at the Tuesday or the February board meeting. So at least that petitional piece will be kind of locked in, and we'll see. And we got another 30 days of visibility and, deferring an ultimate decision till in advance of the April 1st deadline on the fireworks. So yes.
You have the agreement, Lori?
Yep, I would agree with that.
Okay, fine. That's what I'll do for the village board meeting that's coming up in February. That being said, that's all I have on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
This is Lori. I'll make that motion.
Mike,
Mike McKinnon will second.
those in favor say aye.
Oh, we can't do
Aye.
it that way because we
can't
have
do it that
to,
way.
we have to
Have
do a
have
roll call.
Roll call.
So that would
Mike?
be Mr. McKinnon,
Yes.
Ms. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Kimes.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good
Okay,
night.
we're adjourned at, looks like to me, according to my clock, at 6:30. Is that about accurate?
Right, that's
I
correct.
got 6:30. Yep.
Okay.